South Sudan, and indeed the whole Sudan, has lost its beloved son, Dr. John Garang De Mabior, the first Vice President of the Republic of Sudan and the President of South Sudan, was on an official visit to Uganda during the period from 29th to 30th of July 2005, when the helicopter he was traveling in crashed near south of New Kush on his return last Saturday.
On July 30th, 2005, just 21 days after taking office as the first Vice President of Sudan and President of the Autonomous Government of Southern Sudan, Dr. John Garang De Mabior died in a helicopter crash in the Imatong Mountains.
So this wheel is the one that got the first impact here and immediately snapped off, and it remained here. While the rest of the aircraft somersaulted onwards because of speed, impact, inertia.
The Mi-172 presidential chopper belonging to Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni was carrying Garang back from a private meeting at Museveni's Rwakitura estate to new site in South Sudan. Garang's death shattered the regional political landscape. He had just signed the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, CPA, ending over 20 years of civil war. While official reports ruled the crash a tragic accident caused by bad weather and pilot error, millions across South Sudan and the African continent never believed this narrative. So, was it really an accident, an assassination, or was it just fate? Kede, let's talk about it. When examining political assassinations, the investigators ask one fundamental question: who stood to benefit from the outcome? After Garang's death, a lot of rumors spread within South Sudan and Africa at large on who might have actually killed John Garang and why they allegedly did. So in this video, we will focus on why people claim that it is the Americans, or Israel, or Khartoum, or even Uganda. Let's start with the Americans, or the West. By 2005, the United States of America's strategy was torn between two conflicting visions. John Garang was envisioning a new Sudan. He wanted a united, secular, democratic Sudan. However, Western foreign policy analysts worried that a united Sudan and a charismatic, strong-willed leader like Garang would prove unpredictable and difficult to control. So, the Americans really didn't take well the vision of Garang because of one main reason. You see, if Sudan was divided, they will easily extract oil and make geopolitical leverage. They knew an independent South Sudan will be vulnerable and heavily dependent on the support from the West. That is to say, they will provide things like food, especially to the army, security in terms of guns and ammunition, and they could also give them corporate contracts in exchange for the oil. But they knew John Garang was an intellectual leader who had matured into a seasoned statesman and therefore could not be manipulated easily. So the strategy was to replace him with someone who would support an immediate separation from Sudan, or just do away with Garang once and for all, and the rest will fall into place. Now, these are just allegations, but maybe they carry some weight. I will let you be the judge on this. Number 2, the Israelis' dilemma. Throughout the civil war in Sudan, Israel played a very important role, especially to the SPLM. The Israeli government provided covert military intelligence as well as covering the logistics throughout the war times. This was termed as periphery doctrine. This means that Israel was supporting non-Arab minorities on the outer edges of the Arab world to distract Khartoum. However, once Garang signed the CPA and became the vice president of United Sudan, his stance shifted from being a regional rebel commander to being a national sovereign leader. Basically, this means Israel will not be helpful to SPLA because the rebel leader of SPLM is now working in the government and not fighting them. Israel feared that a unified, powerful Sudan led by Garang would eventually integrate into Arab League diplomacy or stabilize the Nile Basin in ways that didn't align with Tel Aviv's strategic security calculations. And for this reason, many people believe that the Israeli must have had a hand on the assassination of John Garang. I will let you be the judge on these speculations, because for me, I find it quite a weak accusation. What do you think? Number 3, the Khartoum's allegations. First, South Sudanese already had decades of deep mistrust towards the northern government because Khartoum had broken past peace agreements. Most notably, in 1972, when President Nimeri imposed Sharia laws and revoked southern autonomy. So when Dr. John Garang died in a helicopter crash just 21 days after becoming first vice president, the timing felt far suspicious. On top of that, Garang was extremely popular and wanted to build a democratic, unified Sudan, which terrified northern hardliners who feared losing their political power and oil money. Apart from that, the official announcement of the death of John Garang was surrounded by mystery. First, the rumor circulated that the aircraft was missing, but the state media initially claimed that the helicopter had landed safely in Uganda or southern Sudan. The delay in the announcement of Garang's death also fueled the suspicion that maybe Khartoum were trying to cover up something. On date 8 of August 2005, Omar al-Bashir, the then president of Sudan, issued a decree establishing a 7-member committee, and it was headed by Abel Alier, the then vice president. The committee included 6 aviation experts, 3 from Sudan and 3 from the side of SPLM. However, the committee would later say that it was just an accident and that they pledged to stick to CPA, which was signed by John Garang. Number 4, the Ugandan connection. I know most of you were waiting for this particular one. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni was John Garang's longtime ally and a personal friend. Yet, the circumstances surrounding Garang's departure from Uganda raised critical security questions. Garang spent 2 days in a private and announced meeting with Museveni at his country home in Rwakitura. The exact agenda remains largely undisclosed. However, Yoweri Museveni later said the meeting between him and John Garang was about the Uganda-Sudan border, where the Ugandan rebel group called Lord's Resistance Army, LRA, was operating. He also said that they discussed about the future of North-South Sudan since the CPA was just implemented. If there was one high figure who made strong allegations after the death of John Garang, then it's Yoweri Museveni. He said, and I quote, "The helicopter was very well equipped. This was my helicopter, the one I'm flying all the time. I am not ruling anything out." He went to say that either the pilot panicked or the instruments failed or there was an external factor. Him saying that he can't rule out anything meant that whichever the imaginations that everyone was having could be true. Museveni would go on to tell the people that an investigation will be done and it will surely look into all possibilities. Around this time, Museveni had threatened to shut down 3 newspapers who he said were spreading propaganda, which could threaten the regional peace. He said, "The Daily Monitor, the Weekend Observer, and Red Pepper must stop or we shall stop them." The Red Pepper had reported that Garang's body was riddled with bullets when it was recovered from the wreckage of the Ugandan helicopter. I don't know how true these allegations were. After this, an international team also launched its investigation into the death of John Garang. They visited the crash site of John Garang and they were able to get the flight recording data and cockpit voice recorder. Abel Alier and other Sudanese with a team of Kenyans and Ugandans took the flight recording data and cockpit voice recorder to Russia. The black boxes were to be analyzed and a report compiled, then sent to Uganda. But in the end, nothing much came from the black boxes after the analysis was sent back to Uganda. Or even if there was something, we will never know. But one important suspicion on Yoweri Museveni was why Garang had to use Museveni's aircraft and not the aircraft he had previously arrived in Uganda. Some sources in Uganda even claimed that Museveni had not used that helicopter for a while before Garang boarded it. Even though Museveni would later say that he had instructed Garang and the crew before leaving that if the weather becomes unfriendly, they can come back and land in Uganda and take off the next day. Number 5. Rebecca Nyandeng's claims. After Garang's death, officials in Khartoum and Kampala, members of the SPLM leadership and Garang's widow had dismissed all other rumors spreading about Garang's death and maintained that the crash was accidental. But something later changed. In 2007, in an event in Kenya by the Jaramogi Oginga Foundation, where the late John Garang was honored with the Uhuru Award for his contribution to struggle in Africa, Rebecca Nyandeng said a lot on the closure of her late husband, but in that speech, a part of it stood out. She said, and I quote, "When my husband died, I did not come out openly and said he was killed because I knew the consequences at the back of my mind. I knew my husband had been assassinated." End of quote. Imagine what more revelations she could have made if she didn't fear for her life by exposing the truth. So for me, I think we know an answer, or half the answer. Maybe Rebecca Nyandek might know who really assassinated John Garang. Being a wife, your husband is likely to give you hints when his life is being threatened. After the death of John Garang, Salva Kiir Mayadi told the citizens to avoid conflict and follow the footsteps of John Garang. And I quote, "Let us follow the footsteps of our leader. This is not the time for rioting." Kiir said, blaming unspecified opponents of peace for wanting to provoke a situation that will lead us back to war. So guys, there you have it. For me, I don't know who really killed John Garang, but if I was to lean on one theory, then I will go with Rebecca Nyandek's claims that he was murdered. How about you? What do you think? Comment below your thoughts, and as always, I'm Mom, and this is Mom Reports. Bye-bye.